When I first read the Dune books, the origins of the Sardaukar army wasn't of much interest to me. My main takeaway was that these were the Padishah Emperor's super soldiers allied with Harkonnens and who Paul and the Fremen eventually defeated at the end of Dune Book 1. When I saw the movie depiction of the Sardaukar army in the Dune Part 1 movie, I suddenly became intrigued. It's probably not a good thing to say this at the start of the video, but as I was making this, I realized that maybe the reason why I wasn't so interested initially was because, well, there isn't much behind the mystery, but since I am a Dune fiend, here we are. Anyway, onto the video. In Dune, the planet Salusa Syndicus is shrouded in mystery. All we know for sure is that this is supposedly some kind of hellhole, and this is the Padishah Emperor's prison planet where the worst of the criminals go. It's a penal colony. But how did it get this way? In the days of Xavier Harkonnen and Serena Butler 10,000 years before Paul Atreides, Salusa Syndicus was one of the last human holdouts, a planet inhabited by humans in a machine-dominated universe, and it was described as being hung like a jeweled pendant in the desert of space, an oasis of resources and fertile fields, peaceful and pleasing to the optic senses. This was home to the free League world humans, as many of the other planets had since been enslaved by the thinking machines. Because I've only read the first prequel novel, I'm not sure yet how it comes into the possession of the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV by Dune Book 1. I mean, I might find out when I get to that point in the prequel novels, but I don't want to spoil myself yet. And even in the book, there seems to be some mystery around it. The question of who was on Salusa Syndicus before House Corrino made this their homeworld, before the Emperor started sending his prisoners there, is a closely guarded secret. As for the Emperor's use of Arrakis, he had used Arrakis as a testing place for those policies which he hoped to implement in the rest of his empire, keeping the population oppressed and seeing how much he could get away with, and taking notes basically. The idea that Salusa is where the top secret Sardaukar training takes place is suggested by Duke Leto to his son Paul early in Dune. This also isn't official knowledge, just a very good educated guess. And maybe an open secret to those in the know? The Duke figures out that his efforts as steward are being undermined. He knows that the Harkonnens have been hoarding melange for more than 20 years, hoping to make a killing when the Duke's spice production fails, leaving them as the only suppliers. Duke Leto suspects that the Harkonnens aren't the only ones stockpiling, but the Emperor is as well. Paul makes a connection then between the Emperor and the Sardaukar because they're kind of one and the same. The Duke points out that if, as he suspects, the Emperor and his Sardaukar, by extension, are allied with the Harkonnens, the Sardaukar would be in Harkonnen disguise. And there might be more going on Salusa, the Emperor's prison planet. What if it were more than a prison planet, Paul? There's a question you never hear asked about the Imperial core of Sardaukar. Where do they come from? From the prison planet? They come from somewhere. And Paul answers, but every report on Salusa Syndicus says that it's a hell world. Undoubtedly, but if you were going to raise tough, strong, ferocious men, what environmental conditions would you impose on them? Paul wonders how the loyalty of such men can be won, and the Duke answers, there are proven ways. Play on the certain knowledge of their superiority, the mystique of the secret covenant, the spirit of shared suffering. It can be done. It has been done on many worlds and many times. Tafir Hawat suggests something similar when he's talking to the Baron about how the soldiers are kept in line even though their conditions are rough. The recruits come to believe in time that such a place as Salusa Syndicus is justified because it produced them, the elite. The communist Sardaukar trooper lives a life in many respects as exalted as that of any member of a great house. Of course, the Atreides have a secret weapon in the Fremen, who the Duke plans to train and equip with resources to make them as formidable as the Sardaukar. It's a secret weapon because the Harkonnens have undermined the Fremen and would never see them as worthy opponents, so the Atreides will have the element of surprise. Even the Baron's nephew Fayed is fearful of the Sardaukar, thinking of them as the dread Imperial troops, the killers without mercy, the soldier fanatics. And after the Sardaukar storm the Atreides' home on Arrakis, Yui encounters one. There was a casual air of brutality about him, a sense of toughness and poise that sent a shiver through Yui. Sardaukar, Yui thought, a Bashar by the looks of him. No matter what the uniform, there's no disguising them. They fittingly talk in growls, snarls, and commands, but we find out that they're not just unthinking brutes. When talking about the immediate moments after the Sardaukar killed Duncan Idaho, Edric reveals to Irulan and Messiah that it was a wise Sardaukar commander who recognized the Swordmaster Duncan's corpse and the fact that his flesh could still be used if he acted quickly. And Irulan realizes that then this becomes the Duncan Telek Sugola. This is a assume that our wise Sardaukar commander had Duncan Idaho's corpse preserved for the axolotl tanks. Why not? This corpse held the flesh and nerves of one of the finest swordsmen in history, an advisor to the Atreides, a military genius. What a waste to lose all that training and ability when it might be revived as an instructor for the Sardaukar. Still, the reputation of the Sardaukar as the unbeatable, formidable army suffered a pretty devastating blow when the Fremen eventually defeated them on the plains of Arrakeen. They never quite recovered. In Messiah, Paul gives the order to have any remaining identified Sardaukar killed, but they do still have a presence, albeit their legions do become much smaller over time. In Children of Dune, the remaining Sardaukar are in Salusa, with House Corrino still fighting to regain the power that they lost to the Atreides. The Princess Winsishia, another one of the Padishah Emperor's daughters, conspires to kill the twins Leto II and Ganima so that her son Farad'n can take the throne as emperor. He also sees to it that the Sardaukar go through rigorous training, but even though House Corrino might have brought their Sardaukar back to a pre-Arrakeen edge, they still could be no match for the abandoned ferocity of Fremen. By the end of Children of Dune, Leto takes the Sardaukar from Farad'n, thinking in passing that they might mate with his Fremen, but they do eventually fade out of the story. The last we do see of them in Children of Dune, a couple of them are Ganima's guards, and they do fear the twins because they are very much aware of the twins' power and because of their defeat at the hands of the Fremen. Also, by the end of Children of Dune, House Corrino and House Atreides joined when Farad'n, later called Hawk al-Adda, and Ganima carry on the Atreides' ancestral line. So the Sardaukar legions kind of get folded in, but even then, by God Emperor, Leto II has his own new powerful female legions called Fish Speakers, who might share some ancestry with the Fremen, but as far as I can recall, there isn't even a mention of the Sardaukar in God Emperor. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure you see what I mean now when I say that there is no mystery behind the mystery, but these little bits of information are always fun to know. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you have some thoughts, feel free to share, and thank you for watching.